Hey there, happy Saturday. LJ here, going live in case I might catch you, or of course you can catch it a little later. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how and why yoga helps resolve chronic pain. And maybe you've seen some of my posts that come up sometimes through people I get to work with, through my experiences with the people I get to work with, or their experiences. But it can be like totally, almost seemingly magical, the changes that can happen with the use of yoga for chronic pain. And yes, I got to come to this honestly through my own chronic pain after having been in a car accident years ago and gravitating towards things like yoga as an effort to resolve my pain, trying lots of things. And it wasn't, though, until I found some very specific ways to use the yoga and to, most importantly, to personalize a practice to resolve things like pain. So my use of the practices has gotten me out of pain, which has been amazing. And now I use things every day to keep me out of pain and to keep me feeling good and knowing that I'm going to stay out of pain with what I'm doing. But the work that I get to do with others and some of what I want to tell you about how yoga works, because one thing you want to know right away is it's not just any form of yoga or any yoga class that is necessarily going to solve or resolve your chronic pain. Not that you can't get some benefit, at least some beautiful feelings of community and all sorts of experiences of yoga, meaning union, to join, to connect. You can get that through all sorts of yoga. And it doesn't even have to involve a mat practice. But what I am talking about is what I have found really works a high percentage of the time with the people I get to work with and through the training I've gone through, if people are willing to do things every day. But it is important that it's yoga offered in a specific, personalized way. So that's the first thing that I want you to know. If you hear about this, like yoga helps for chronic pain, yes, it does. But it's not that just any form of yoga or any yoga class is going to do that. And in fact, a lot of forms of yoga might make your chronic pain worse. So it's actually super important that you don't just jump into any form of yoga, even though, again, you might learn some beautiful things, make wonderful connections. It's all good. And once you're out of chronic pain, you can feel more free to drop into any yoga class, especially if you've got your own practice and making sure you're safe for whatever they want to do with you. But some of the reason why a personalized practice is best, why it works fastest, and why it's the safest is because, yes, first of all, we can make sure that you're not doing anything that's inappropriate or that's counterindicated or that is going to make things worse. Because a lot of the poses of yoga can make things worse and they're not appropriate for you right now. Although if you have a certain desire to do a certain pose someday, you can certainly work towards that. But it's super important that your practice is personalized. That's the first thing that is super important in how yoga works to, yes, totally resolve chronic pain. I've seen it happen a lot, a ton, with hundreds, even thousands of people now between my work and the therapists I've gotten to work with. So it does work. It is possible with all forms of chronic pain, in my experience, whether we're talking about, yes, back pain, which turns out a lot of us are in one form or another, whether it's low back pain, upper back and neck pain, mid back pain, things getting into hip issues. I've worked with a lot of people with sciatic pain and seen amazing changes in that, even when doctors have told my clients that they can't do anything to help them, even when traditional physical therapy hasn't worked, this stuff works. But here's some more of why. But yes, also for shoulder pain, elbow pain, wrist pain, hand pain, knee pain, foot pain, all of the above can be resolved with this approach using yoga. So yes, first thing is it needs to be personalized. It needs to be a practice that's safe for you, that's appropriate for you, and that's also enough for you to make the changes that we want to make to help you resolve that pain. And the second piece that's important in your use of the yoga, and part of what we're going to do when we get to personalize your practice with this approach that I found really works. And I should mention a lot of what I've learned specifically comes from my specific training with a method called Egoscue, which completely changed how I use the poses, and which is where I totally learned how to use the poses to personalize a practice, and especially to get people out of pain. But here's more of how and why a personalized practice is so important and why it's going to get you out of pain. Because part of what we get to do with the personalized practice, in addition to making sure you don't overdo it or do the wrong things or make anything worse, which is totally possible, so that's why you really want to do a personalized approach if you do have pain stuff. But part of what we're going to look at, and part of what I learned that makes the huge difference with resolving chronic pain, is looking at alignment, meaning structural alignment, meaning posture. So really what we see that we're doing with these poses is postural therapy, and meaning, yes, that we are using the poses, the exercises to address your posture. And when we start working together, we get to assess your posture and find out where there are likely some misalignments that are the reason for your pain. And my favorite way to describe why alignment is the reason for most people's pain, and this is kind of new news to some people, but a lot of practitioners, especially more holistic practitioners like the chiropractors know this. When we're looking at the body, looking at the structure, looking at the alignment and the posture, we start to see how important it is and how the body functions and how it's the reason for most of our pain stuff. Because the body is built and designed to be in structural alignment. And when we start to get out of alignment through either injuries, lifestyle, lack of use of the body is a lot of the reason this happens for a lot of us, or overuse in various ways, right? The body starts to get out of alignment in various ways, and these alignment issues start to have an effect. And our wonderful, beautiful human body does what it can to compensate for these alignment changes happening, these strength differences starting to happen left to right, that are starting to play into why you're hurting. Again, whether that's in your feet, in your knees, in your hips, in your back, in your neck, in your shoulders, in your wrists, in your elbows, all of the above are usually because of structural misalignment going on. And then here's the good news though, that structural alignment, those misalignments that we find most of us these days have at least a little something going on, it's fixable, it's changeable, and it's changeable sometimes even in one day, that we can start to see the changes when we use these exercises correctly to change the alignment. So for me, that's where I really found the difference with my practice and learned to make the difference with other people's practices, is to create a practice that's addressing your structural alignment. And that's why it's going to resolve your pain. And it's always amazing to see how fast and quickly it does always work. Now, the only rub that also goes with this approach is you have to do it every day. And that for some people is just too much. But the bonus is I was super fortunate to learn with people that trained me to create a super short practice. So we're talking 20 minutes a day. And it can even be shorter if you're like super busy and that's way too much. We can even create 5-10 minute practices that can start to make a difference. But if you're willing to do 20 minutes a day, but yes, it needs to be every day. So the only time I've seen this method not work is with my people who haven't been willing to do it every day. And there's always the bonuses to seeing how we feel on the days that we don't do it. But yes, doing it every day, we start to slowly but surely help you retrain your alignment, thus resolve the pain, and it works every time. And the good news is the practice always makes you feel better. It's very different than traditional physical therapy in that you're not going to hurt worse at first or ever. In fact, if you do, something's gone wrong. So the practice creates relief immediately, and then every time you do it, and then each day your body's getting into better and better alignment. And there is strengthening in that practice to help you hold that alignment. So now you're starting to just be more aligned. And counter to some current thoughts on alignment and posture, it is absolutely not about trying to now stand straighter, stand even, walk straight. No good. This is just going to create problems in other areas. So it's about having the right personalized, specific, alignment-based practice that's going to help realign you each day. But the good news is, if you're willing to do it each day, it resolves all of these pain issues. Often the first time that you do the practice, and then at least it gets the pain down a little. A lot of people, even with like my friend who I was posting with or about the other day and sharing her posts, people who've been in pain for 20 years, who've seen all the doctors, the surgeons, the physical therapists, the everything. Even the doctors have told them, I can't help you. And we do our first day together with this actually super gentle stuff. It's always really surprising to people how gentle the practice is that we create, but yet super effective. And yes, does have that strengthening that's important, but again, safely, smartly, just right for you. And again, key is that it's addressing your alignment. So it's not just stretching you out, and it is aligning you, but then there's also the strengthen. So we're stretching you, we're realigning you, we're strengthening you, all with this super gentle practice that always solves the pain. It's so awesome to witness again and again and again and again with people that I work with, whether my eldest client was 96 and he had amazing results and actually was one of my most committed clients. I work with people in their 70s, people in their 50s. I even get to work with 12 and 13-year-olds lately who are just starting to have little issues. And to even turn on a young person to this awareness of the alignment and how you can fix it with a daily practice has been so fulfilling. So those are some of the ways how yoga helps. So it needs to be personalized. It needs to be affecting and changing your alignment with that personalized practice. And then there's other parts of the yoga and the use of the exercises that are going to help with resolving your pain. Like we're also getting to help you address it all as energy. We're getting to help you do a lot of replenishing and restoring of your systems because that pain is such a drain, right? And we're also giving you time to just reconnect with yourself in various ways. And your mat practice is a form of meditation. So that's part of the therapy as well, is that you're going to get the chance to start to reconnect with you and even redevelop your relationship with your body so that it can be part of this more pain-free life that you're moving into. And then, yes, the news is you do now start to do a practice more like every day for the rest of your life, but it's going to help you just get out of pain, get out of limitation, and even get back to the things you love, like running, like jumping, like playing, like dancing, like just feeling good, right? Because that pain is such a drain. And that's where it is fortunate that I got to go through it because I have that compassion for how much it wears on us and how pain has that psychology to it and affects all our relationships, right? But the good news is there's something that really works if you're willing to do something more like every day. That's the rub. And you need to have a personalized practice for your yoga to resolve your chronic pain. So it's really exciting news and just more evidence of how the human body is so amazing because it's ready to change, ready to get back into good health, just given the right stimulus. So that's what we're doing with this practice. And it really works. So if you or someone you love has been battling with chronic pain, please reach out because I love to help and share this with people who are ready for that daily practice. And we can work together in person here in Southern California or online too. It works really well by video. So thanks so much for listening, you guys. And I hope this helped you understand even more why you keep hearing about yoga for pain, but more of the specifics and what's important and how it can actually help and not make things worse, but only make things better and really change the rest of your life, right? So I'm honored to do this work and I'm super thankful to share it with you guys. So thanks for listening. Namaste.